Netflix's Drive to Survive has become a staple for both seasoned Formula One fans and newcomers to the sport, offering a blend of high-stakes drama, personal rivalries, and behind-the-scenes access that traditional race coverage rarely provides. Now in its seventh season, the show has evolved in many ways, both refining its storytelling approach and acknowledging that its audience is far more familiar with the sport than when it first aired. What once felt like an introduction to the world of F1 has gradually transformed into an inside look at the personalities and politics of the paddock. However, with this evolution comes a trade-off. While the series has become more polished and connected to on-track events, it's also become more self-aware and, at times, even restrained. There's an underlying shift in Drive to Survive's latest season that becomes more noticeable as you make your way through the episodes. The show no longer feels the need to over-explain the basics of Formula One. Gone are the frequent self-introductions from drivers and team principals. Most of them now assume the audience knows who they are. Even when a driver like Andrea Kimi Antonelli introduces himself, it's usually in a light-hearted manner, such as when he stumbles over the full name of his own team. This confidence from the show's producers suggests that Drive to Survive now trusts its viewers to keep up without constant hand-holding. This is a stark contrast to the earlier seasons, where Netflix often seemed amazed by the inner workings of the sport. Now, the series feels more embedded in the paddock, seamlessly weaving its narratives into the season's most defining moments. It no longer needs to manufacture tension as frequently. The real drama of F1 is doing most of the heavy lifting. However, this evolution is a double-edged sword. The show's presence in the F1 world is no longer novel, and the people being filmed are acutely aware of its influence. Teams and drivers now manage their interactions more carefully when Netflix cameras are around, limiting the kind of candid, unfiltered moments that made the early seasons so compelling. There are still slips, such as Christian Horner calling Zach Brown a prick in a private exchange, but later he seems more than comfortable repeating a similar sentiment in an on-camera interview. The raw, unscripted energy that Guenther Steiner once brought to the series is sorely missed. His phone calls with Gene Haas, full of colorful language and brutal honesty, were once the backbone of the show's more outrageous moments. Without him, the paddock chatter feels more controlled, more cautious. Despite the evolving narrative approach, Drive to Survive still embraces the luxurious, jet-setting lifestyle that surrounds F1. The show indulges in its signature aesthetic: helicopter shots of yachts in Monaco, sweeping views of luxury hotels, and glimpses of exclusive dinners at Michelin-starred restaurants. This season even seems to highlight the privileged lifestyle of certain figures more than before. Alessandro Alunni Bravi, in particular, seems to have been given a segment purely to make viewers jealous of his glamorous life. What's notably toned down, however, is the series' past obsession with crash footage. Previous seasons often exaggerated minor incidents, turning them into cataclysmic events with excessive slow-motion replays and dramatic sound design. That approach is now noticeably restrained. The major accidents from last season are still covered, but they're presented with a sense of proportion. The Sergio Perez and Carlos Sainz crash in Baku, which might have been stretched into a 5-minute ordeal in earlier seasons, is handled more matter-of-factly. If Williams was hoping that their frequent crashes last year would translate into more screen time for their sponsors, they were sorely mistaken. While Drive to Survive does a commendable job of covering the major F1 storylines, it doesn't dive deep into some of the more intriguing subplots of the season. Take Oliver Bearman, for instance. His sensational debut in Saudi Arabia, where he stepped in as a last-minute replacement for Carlos Sainz and delivered a performance beyond his years, is completely ignored. The young Brit only appears when he has to substitute for Kevin Magnussen in Brazil, and even then, it's in a context that doesn't do justice to his breakthrough moments. His standout performances in Jeddah and Baku are entirely missing, reducing his narrative to a footnote. Similarly, Sergio Perez's struggles to retain his Red Bull seat are largely underexplored. There are no behind-the-scenes moments of tense conversations with Horner or Helmut Marko, no off-track confessions, no sense of the real stakes at play. Given that Perez has had a strained relationship with Netflix in the past, unhappy with how he was portrayed in earlier seasons, it's possible that he deliberately kept the cameras at arm's length. While other drivers continue to welcome Drive to Survive into their homes, with Perez, we're left watching from a distance. This leads to a broader issue. There are fewer moments that genuinely surprise the viewer. There's no segment that makes you sit up and think, wow, I didn't know that. This absence is where Steiner's departure from the series is most felt. His vineyard road trips with Mattia Binotto were once a highlight, offering humor and a rare glimpse into the less polished side of F1. Without those moments, the show loses some of its charm. That's not to say the season is without its high points. Certain storylines are given more depth, including Carlos Sainz's move to Williams. Netflix provides unprecedented access to James Vowell's negotiations with Sainz's management, even capturing what appears to be the signing of his contract. However, given the show's history of staging moments for dramatic effect, some viewers may question how much of this footage is authentic. Another engaging narrative revolves around Red Bull's private testing, with Liam Lawson trying to prove his worth. We see Max Verstappen arriving at Silverstone to set a benchmark for Lawson, who delivers a performance strong enough to impress the team. It's one of the rare times the show captures the high-pressure reality of young drivers fighting for their place in F1. But the true star of this season is Lando Norris. His interviews are raw, emotional, and revealing, offering a deeper look into his personal growth in 2024. His honesty makes him even more relatable, and his rivalry with Verstappen, along with the intra-team tension at McLaren, becomes one of the season's most compelling threads. Despite its flaws, Drive to Survive remains an entertaining watch. The show still embraces its flair for the dramatic, sometimes stretching the truth for the sake of storytelling, like framing Norris' Miami Grand Prix victory as a personal triumph rather than acknowledging McLaren's game-changing upgrade. The manufactured tension in the final laps of Abu Dhabi, with Norris breathing as if he's about to pass out, is another example of Netflix turning up the drama dial unnecessarily. But if you accept that Drive to Survive was never meant for hardcore F1 fans, it still delivers a compelling behind-the-scenes look at the sport. It captures the camaraderie, the rivalries, and the human side of F1, whether that's Charles Leclerc's car being declined at a supermarket or Susie Wolff grilling her husband about Mercedes' future. It won't please everyone. Purists will roll their eyes at the oversimplifications, and some storylines deserve more depth. But for all its quirks, it's still Drive to Survive. It's polished, dramatic, and visually stunning. And as long as it keeps delivering entertaining insights into the world of F1, it will remain a must-watch for fans eagerly awaiting the start of a new season. Hello, McLaren faithfuls. Stand a chance of winning $1,000 by hitting that like button. Drop a comment below and subscribe so you never miss any McLaren and F1 updates with relaxing ASMR elements. McLaren Faithful's YouTube channel is now covered in English, German, and Spanish. Your support is what keeps this incredible community growing stronger every day. It costs you nothing to like and subscribe, but it helps the channel tremendously. Let's continue the conversation and share our passion for McLaren and F1 together. As a YouTube member, you can also discover my journey as a passionate creator navigating life with challenging disabilities. Despite the obstacles, I'm determined to follow my dreams and share my love for McLaren and F1 with the world. By becoming a YouTube member, you'll not only be supporting my dream, but you'll also gain access to exclusive content, including untold stories of legendary F1 drivers and much more. Your support can truly make a difference in my life, helping me continue to do what I love. Join McLaren Faithful's membership below and enjoy.